Quick aside before we start the video, you might have missed my upload last week because YouTube's algorithm was rearranging my guts. You get it? It's because they So if you enjoyed this video and you want to watch one that's twice as long and twice as goofy, then please jump over to my channel and check it out. Thanks. Hello and welcome back to Binging Last Season, where this week we are on a mission to protect the most important thing on the planet, your free time. And in the interest of that goal, this week's video is going to be short. It's not just because I rushed it out, shut up. Last season, I covered the 3 fantasy anime that saved summer 2024. And this week, I'm going to be covering the 2 fantasy anime from fall that I'm already starting to forget, even though I watched them 2 days ago. The first one is called Sayonara Ryusei Konnichiwa Jinsei, or Goodbye Dragon Life, because halfway through translating the title, they got bored and said, fuck it, that'll do. And that's kind of the vibe I got from this anime. Everything is just good enough. The story, yeah, that's good enough. The motivations for the characters are good enough. The character designs are pretty good, actually. But you know me. Anytime they put the big badoinga hibida babadas on the screen, I'm just like, ugh. At times, the main character does look like a background character, but I feel like that was intentional. I think the point is to say, you know, he's not a dragon anymore. He's just a normal human being. He's just a dude. I mean, he's not just a dude, obviously, but he's supposed to look like just a dude. I'm okay with that. I got a few notes that I want to mention. First of all, the opening song is insane. We together forever, that's what it sounds like. I'm not joking. It's insane. Honestly, I did not expect my impression to sound that good in the playback. It's actually crazy. That's exactly what it sounds like. Speaking of crazy, you know me. I appreciate the Badoinga Banga Bongas more than anybody else maybe on the entire planet. But there is a bit that starts in episode 2 where everyone talks about drinking the milk heavily implied to be the breast milk from a cow person demi-human from episode 2, and like her husband's just like, my wife makes the best milk in this entire village, it's amazing, and the main character's just like, it tastes so good. And I'm sitting here as a viewer like, this is why people don't respect anime. this is and they treat it like it's normal the whole time, and they just never stop, and it's a bit that just never goes away, and it's horrendous. And at one point, the daughter, I don't even want to say it. Watch it just to see the depths that Japan as a nation is willing to go to. I assume this bit is meant to make me feel uncomfortable because it's Japan's version of payback for what we did during World War II, and honestly, I respect that. And lastly, the end of this season sort of geared toward a follow-up season where they go to Magic High School, and specifically for this anime, I cannot think of anything that would be dumber than that. So hopefully, it does not get renewed, and if it does, we will know that God has long since abandoned us. I can't remember if I gave this a 5 or a 6 on my anime list, and to be honest with you, I don't care. This is fine. It's perfectly okay for a filler fantasy anime if you have a lot of free time and you just want to watch something in a fantasy setting that you haven't seen yet. If you don't have a lot of free time, skip it. This is not even remotely worth your time. The second anime that I watched this week was called The Healer Who Was Banished from His Party is, in fact, the strongest, which really differentiates itself from all of the other healer anime that are coming out nowadays by pairing almost no redeeming qualities with a ton of downsides. It's a really innovative approach. This is pretty much what would happen if you made the blue-haired martial artist from The Eighth Son, Are You Kidding Me, into a main character, and I don't mean that as a compliment. You pretty much already know what happens based on the title. There's a dude, he's a healer, he's kicked out from his party because they say he's useless, but in reality, he was the most useful member of their party, so he meets up with our blue-haired main character and they form a party, they do a bunch of stuff, and there's a climactic battle at the end. This is another just standard fantasy anime where nothing really stands out, but it has the added bonus where the story is almost offensively one note, where it's just like, so, you know, you can see everything coming, nothing really jumps out, and, you know, the way they tell the story is almost like they're talking to a toddler. Like, I feel like I'm being condescended to while I'm watching this. It's kind of annoying. If I'm giving it credit, there are 2 things about it that are pretty good. The moments where he shows off why he is, in fact, the strongest, they're both pretty cool. I have no complaints about either of those scenes, and there's a background character, Sword Glasses, who is pretty fucking cool looking. Like, the character design on him is pretty neat. I would have enjoyed it more if he was on screen more often. but everything else is just mediocre. It's like the definition of a mediocre fantasy anime. I gave this one a 5 as well, and in retrospect, I guess that means Goodbye Dragon Life could be pushed up to a 6, but it would be better if you just consider this a low 5 and Dragon Life a high 5. Neither of them are really worth spending your time watching if you don't have a lot of it. There were way better shows in fall. Not a lot of them, to be honest, so far, but there were definitely better options for you. These are not worth your time. That's it for this week's episode of Binging Last Season. I got a couple treats in store, but I'm not going to mention them because they've been in store for the past few months, and I'm not sure if they're even going to be done by next week. If you get the chance, please go back and watch last week's video. It was a good time. It was a pretty good anime, and, I don't believe in YouTube suppressing the beautiful female form, quite frankly. I think that's offensive. So do me a favor, hop on my channel, check it out, and I'll see you guys next week.